Hello, everybody, and welcome to the interview with Rhonda-T Warren. I'm Dan from the Vegan Organic Network, and we're going to be interviewing Rhonda-T, who is on the Veganic world map. And I hope all the people out there are on the Veganic world map. And if you're not, do join. It's free to join, vonmap.org. So tonight's interview with Rhonda-T. Rhonda is a devoted gardener with more than 4 decades of experience. In 2016, she founded the Terra Farm Sanctuary, which offers peace, respect, and freedom to animals. Her farm is near Spokane, Washington, in the USA. So check it out. And introducing to you, the one and only Rhonda-T.
Hello.
I hear the round of applause round the world as you enter the stage. Hi, Rhonda. How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So you're in Spokane. So where is that geographically in America? How would we visualize it?
Spokane, Washington is in the upper left-hand corner, the far northwest. That state is Washington. And there's a mountain range that runs through. It's the Cascade Mountain Range. And we are on the eastern side. We are very close to Idaho. We're on that border. We're up in the high desert in Washington. And our zone is 6A. We are very cold in the winter, very, very hot in the summer, and very, very dry.
Okay. And when you say Washington, I think of Washington, D.C. How far are you from Washington, D.C.?
So if you look at the United States, Washington, D.C. is on the east side, well, middle east side, and Washington State is upper left, as far as you can go to the upper left-hand side of the state, of the country.
So how far is it in distance from you to Washington, D.C.? Approximately.
I don't know. I've
1,000 miles?
More than that.
More than 1,000 miles.
Yeah, we're quite a distance. I would say, if we drove, it would probably take. Oh, that's not a good. If we drove, it would probably take us a week to drive. We're quite a distance.
Drive. Wow.
Yeah.
So the whole state is massive.
It's pretty big. It's a big state.
Right. So are you closer to Canada than you are to Washington?
Oh, absolutely. We can.
Oh, right. Okay.
We can drive to Canada. If I just went straight up, I would be in Canada. It would, I don't know, maybe 3 hours.
Okay, so that's relatively close then, Canada. Cool. Yeah. So you're quite unique. So you've got a veganic farm. So you actually sell produce.
Yes, we're a certified veganic farm. I primarily grow garlic for retail, sometimes onions. What I do is grow garlic that I have right now 5 different varieties, and they are all named after a different resident on the sanctuary. You actually have the very last photo you have is of my packaging. And each of the garlic varieties comes, yes, there you have it. So Arthur's Montana Giant, Clive's in Chilean Red, Tig's Chesney Red, Mama's Early Red Italian, and Quixote's Pink China. And each one comes in a bag that is sort of, I've related the garlic and the characteristics of the garlic to the characteristics of the resident. So if the resident is quiet and mild, so is the garlic. So and it just gives some information about the sanctuary and about what we do. So it's not only selling the garlic in a retail setting, but it's also, giving some information about what we do, about veganic gardening, and kind of about, how the garlic was produced and what it means to grow veganically, and how you can support the sanctuary. So it's a little bit of advocacy with your garlic.
Brilliant. So who actually, so you market it to shops or supermarkets or just to individuals?
Right now it's in restaurants. So pizzerias and vegan restaurants that use garlic in their food have like a little retail sort of corner for me. And right now they don't have it now because the first garlic of the season isn't up yet. But when it does come, when it is harvested, it will be going to Allie's Vegan Pizzeria, and we have a partnership there where they allow me to just sort of set up and provide information about the sanctuary and sell the garlic, and I've relationships like that, sort of point of sale throughout the city. I don't do farmers markets and that sort of thing because I don't have that quantity. I only grow, 300 or 400 garlic bulbs a year, and it's very specialized. So again, it's kind of a niche thing, but I sell out all the time. I mean, I think I'm sold out, and it is only 3 inches tall right now. So it's pretty amazing.
Cool. So you just sell to vegan establishments?
Correct. I give a lot away as well. So one thing about the sanctuary is when I was advocating for veganism, years and years ago, it was your traditional advocacy about what it means to be vegan, what it entails as far as non-human beings and justice, and their rights as valued persons. And what I noticed was that once I've always gardened and grown veganically. And what I did was, when, we take veganic growing and the sanctuary, I found that, it's a great segue into veganism when people come here, because we don't use animal inputs, obviously, but we have a lot of poo because we're a sanctuary, and that sort of gets people talking. It's, we don't grow with manure here. We grow with compost that just comes from, the plant debris from the year before, or leaves or what have you. And it sort of starts the conversation. It's like, oh, you don't use the manure? No, we don't use the manure because we don't use anything that comes from an animal here on the farm, and this is what we do with it, and this is veganism, and they create, it's a great symbiosis between the farm, the veganic farm, and the sanctuary, because there's a lot of conversation to be had about what we do as far as vegans and how we grow. It's a great combination, and it really does open up a lot of conversation and a lot of education.
So what do you do with the with the manure?
We just give it back to nature. We just take the manure and the bedding and anything that we have that is used by the animals, and we have 12 acres, so we just sort of put it back into the environment, and it's absorbed into nature.
Cool, because I mean that's always a big question that people ask. It's like, you know, we've got an animal sanctuary. Why shouldn't we use the animal manure on our vegetables? So what would you say to those people?
Right. Well, because you know, there's you know, obviously veganic gardening does not include any animal inputs. And with veganism, we don't use anything that comes from an animal. So, you know, we don't use obviously their flesh as food, or their fur, or their bones, or, you know, anything that comes from a living being. So anything that we have that comes from an animal, be it the wool from the sheep when they're shorn, or feathers that come from the roosters when they molt, or, you know, the debris that's left over from the bedding, the poop, or the spent feed, we just put it back into nature, because that's where it came from for the most part. And there's no need to use anything from an animal when we have, you know, available to us other natural sources, such as, you know, leaves or debris from previous harvests that create that fertility. Not to mention, I don't want to eat vegetables that have poo on them. You know, it's when I talk to people about that and they ask that question, why don't you use the manure? Because we don't use anything that comes from an animal. And they say, well, nobody would know. It's not a matter of knowing. It's a matter of, you know, perpetuating this idea that we need animals to create and grow abundant food sources, which we don't. And that is this whole sort of learning process that people are engaged with when they come here. That's a great question, and people ask that all the time. But there's no need for it. And you know, another part that people don't understand is, you know, in you know, animal agriculture, manure is not a byproduct of another industry. There are factories that have cows or rabbits or what have you for the sole purpose of taking manure. So they are, you know, held in captivity against their will. And this is where that manure comes from. It's not something that just comes from another industry. It's a manure industry. So we don't want to support any sort of animal agriculture at all. And on a large scale, that's, you know, that's where it comes from.
Okay, so would you say there's using animal manure, is there any detriment, even if you decided that you wanted to use it, is there anything detrimental about using animal manure or animal byproduct? Because people use fish blood and bone as well. Mm-hmm. Is there any reason why you shouldn't use it apart from being vegan? Obviously, if you're vegan, you don't want to use it. But as a growing system, is there anything negative about it?
As far as harvest is concerned, I mean, you know, we're not putting in any of, you know, the heavy metals or the chemicals or anything that's used when, you know, fish meal or blood meal or bone meal, any of these animal parts, you know, when they're produced, who knows, you know, where they come from, or, you know, besides being an animal product. But I haven't, you know, I've found that using solely plant-based inputs when I grow my food, I haven't seen any sort of negatives. Although I've never grown in any other way. I've been gardening and growing food for a very long time, and I've never used manure. So I can't really compare, but I would tell you that people who have my produce, who have eaten it, who I've given some to, regardless if it's a garlic or a tomato or cucumber or squash, they're always very impressed with it. So it's my assumption that it tastes great, and I have a lot of bountiful harvests, and I've seen no issue with using only plant-based inputs at all. I've never had a problem.
Okay, so you grow garlic. Do you grow anything else?
I grow everything. We grow mostly, with the exception of the garlic, with the exception of the alliums. We grow, I tend to grow crops that are more utilitarian. We feed ourselves, and try to put up enough so that we can, eat from the gardens throughout the year. Winter, the deep winter, when our stores are running low, we need to visit the grocery store and buy more from the grocery store. But we try to put up as much as we can. We grow, cucurbits and cucumbers and squashes and everything, lettuce and greens and a lot of Asian greens and broccoli and gailan and tomatoes and potatoes, eggplants, lettuces, celery. I also grow mushrooms, which are not plants, but I also grow mushrooms as well. So anything that you would find in a traditional garden space, we grow.
Cool. So how big is your growing area?
Well, so we are on basalt. So there's not a lot of in-ground growing that I can do because the layers of basalt are about 6 inches below the surface of the soil. So everything that I grow in is above ground. So I have above ground beds. I have soft beds. I have a couple of hugelkultur beds. I do some in ground. I can hill up for rows of potatoes and that sort of thing. The space that the garden is in is about 1 acre, but that's not all rows of gardens because everything is above ground and different types of growing scenarios.
Cool. So, oops. Here we go. Press the wrong button there. So you got so how many animals do you have on your place?
We average about 30. We have donkeys and sheep. We have dogs, parrots, goats, roosters. Basically, the individuals that we take in have been rescued from situations of abandonment or abuse. We don't do a lot of direct intakes, surrenders and that sort of thing, but we'll get a call that someone has abandoned some individuals on a property, and we will rescue them from that environment.
Right. And so we've got some photographs. Maybe it's a little sort of history of. I didn't ask you how did this all come about? I think I've got 2016, but what were you doing 2016? That's 9 years ago. So what were you doing before 2016?
Well, I've always been, as far as the growing portion, I've always grown my own food to some extent, dependent upon the amount of land I had, the amount of property, and the amount of growing space. And so that was always something that was in the works, and always something that I was learning and sharing about. At the, prior to starting the sanctuary, I volunteered for years on boards of other sanctuaries, and I volunteered, in an actual working capacity in rescue and that sort of thing. And as the longer I did it, the longer I saw the need for sanctuary entities, sanctuaries that would take in animals and would care for them throughout their lives, without adopting them out, and just sort of, being their safe place to land. And when my husband and I, both sold our houses, we purchased this property and this land together, and we started Terra. It was sort of a while in the making. We had to make sure that we had all of our groundwork and all of our plans in place. It's not something to start without a lot of preparation. But then, we started the sanctuary, and we became a nonprofit. And, the rest is just sort of history. There's no shortage of individuals that are in dire straits out there. So we made sure we didn't grow too fast, but we took in animals in need, and we've been doing it ever since. The gardening portion just sort of grew and grew and grew, and we became certified, veganic growers, and used that education for sanctuary visitors, and it just became sort of a complete project at that point.
Cool. So I've noticed on the comments that we've got questions popping up. So if you have got a question, do send it in. Rhonda-T is an expert gardener, so she's a regular on the Veganic Summit, and she's helped out on the Veganic Gardens Question Time, is also obviously running her animal sanctuary. So keep the questions coming in. We'd love to hear them. We'll be answering them a bit later in the show. I suppose the question that we all get asked as vegans is, when did you go vegan, and why did you go vegan? Have you got a story there for us? Or have you been vegan all your life, for all I know?
I was vegetarian at first. I mean, from a very, very young age. Was just, why am I eating this? I mean, why am I eating animals? This is wrong. It was just sort of an inherent feeling that I had. And I did everything I could at that point. And this was in, 70s and 80s. And I did what I thought I needed to do to remove animals from my consumption. In the late 80s, early 90s, I learned about this thing called veganism. And I think the internet helped a great deal. I had no idea what it was. And in, learning about that and connecting with other vegan individuals, I realized that, oh, my shampoo has animal products in it, and my shoes are made, with animal products and manners in which are not, peaceful and conducive to, a life where you're trying to do the least harm. And so at that point, I, recognized that there was so much more to look at other than what I was putting in my mouth. So at that point, I just sort of understood and changed everything that I, would come across that had animal products or animal use involved in the making of that product. And I went from there, and it's, I don't know, been 30 years or so, very long time.
So it's all about your family and your background. Where do you come from? Are your family all vegan now? What's that story come out like?
Yeah, my husband's vegan. My children were raised vegan. One is vegan. The other is more of an opportunistic eater. They're older, and so they've sort of gone their own way. It's my background is varied. My background is varied. I'm right. I've been in advertising for the last 20, 30 years, and that's mostly, where I get the money to pay for the sanctuary. So I ultimately have, that full-time job, or a full-time job, and the full-time job of running the sanctuary as well. But it's quite a journey. It's been.
So do you have volunteers helping out?
We do. We've always had volunteers. It has become more difficult since COVID happened. Volunteers are few and far between at this time, but we do have some very strong volunteers that we've had, for 9 years. The volunteers we have now have been with us for the long haul, and they will, probably into the future. They've become a family to us, and they, they're all vegan, and they all really understand the concept and the mission, and it's great to have them, and we're really very, very grateful for their support. But as far as new volunteers coming on, it's been difficult lately, because they're just there's a different mindset out there, I think, now, since things have changed in this country, and volunteers are hard to find.
And if somebody wanted to come and visit you, how would they go about that?
We are not open to the public for the most part. But if somebody wanted to schedule a tour, what they would do is contact me through Terra Farm Sanctuary, info@terrafarmsanctuary.org. Send me an email, or look at Facebook or terrafarmsanctuary.org for the contact information, and reach out to me, and we can set up a time for a tour. And all of the tours have a vegan education component, so there's some value add there, and we just go from there and schedule a time.
So if I was to come over, because I'm in the UK, I'm in Manchester in England. So if I was to come over from England, how would I get to your place?
Can you swim?
well, I'm just assuming that I flew. Okay, let's say where would I? If I did fly, not that I do fly. I just stay. I cycle most places. But just say for the sake of argument that I flew over. Where would I fly to?
You would fly to the Spokane International Airport,
Oh, you got an
And
international airport. Okay.
yeah, and then you would drive 20 miles into the country, and there I am.
Okay. All right. Well, that doesn't sound too. Have you got a bus service?
Not out here. Not out here.
There's no bus
There's no
service.
bus service out here. It's a little bit too far for that.
So where are your nearest veganic neighbours? I haven't looked on the map. I should have checked this out on the map. But there are some people, but I'm not. Do you know who you're? Have you looked on the map and see?
I think the west side of the state. The west side of the state. So across the entire state, over the Cascade Mountain Range in Olympia. I think that is where the closest is.
So that'd be about what, 2,000 miles away? 1,000 miles away.
It would be, I think, about 300 miles away.
I mean, because we got different people on the map. We got people that are supporters, so they're non-growers. Then we got the growers. So do you have any non-growers, just supporters, non-growers that are near you?
You know, I don't think so. I mean, not over here. They're just not that I'm aware of. I'll have to take another peek because I know the map is growing, and I haven't looked at it in a month or so. So I'll have to take another peek at it and see if anyone new has popped up.
So like in Spokane, do you have like any like vegan festivals or anything like that?
No, we don't. We don't. We really, on this side of the state, there really isn't much. On the west side of the state, they do. There isn't a veg fest or anything along those lines. You know, we have festivals that are they're not vegan per se, but you know, there's a lentil festival that brings a lot of vegans together, and there are some, you know, little things like that, but honestly, there's not a lot of vegans around. We've got 2 amazing vegan restaurants, and you know, probably 3. We've got 3 now, and you know, there are vegans here. But there aren't enough to sort of join together and create a big festival. We attempted to do it at one point, and it was just it was a lot of work, and it was difficult sort of getting, you know, the participation and the support that we needed to make it a regular thing.
Right. Okay. But you sell your produce to only vegan establishments. So how many vegan establishments do you deal with?
There are 3.
So you sell all your produce to 3 vegan places?
You know, and a lot of that, it just sort of depends on who is, you know, who wants it. I mean, there aren't a lot of vegan establishments, but I will sell to non-vegan as well. If somebody contacts me and says something like, you know, I need a bunch of onions. Can you, you know, do you have onions for me? And, you know, we'll go from there. But, you know, it sort of depends on what people want. They know I'm here. So different people reach out at different times for produce.
Okay, cool. Should we have a look at some of these questions that have popped up? I haven't actually looked at them. Let's have a look. Thanks everybody for sending the questions in. Let's have a look. Hi, I'm in Edinburgh, Scotland, UK, with a back garden. I'm just starting to grow in. Take me a long time to visit Rhonda-T, but I've done so virtually in a limited way on my son's 3D technology. There you go. Visit Rhonda-T in 3D on your Google Maps. What have we got here? We've got Sarah Torman. It's 2,400 miles. I think that means Washington is 2,480 miles. Thank you, Sarah. It's always good to somebody who knows what's happening in the world. Hi, Dan from Southeast England. I don't think I have a green fingers. I also live in a dense woodland, which I share with some rescued piggies. Okay, let's have a look. We haven't actually got any questions. Come in, people, send some questions in. Vicky is smiling. That's nice to know. Let's have a look. And the Museum of Contemporary Art of Georgia. Spokane is the eastern edge of Washington State, which is in the northwestern corner of the USA, 2,500. So who is correct? Is it Sarah or the Museum of Contemporary Art at Georgia as to the actual proper distance? So when you were saying, go on.
I was just going to say that the person from Georgia is my sister, and hello, Stacy. She used to live in Spokane, so she's giving a pretty good rounded number. I think both answers are correct.
Okay, I suppose it depends which part of Washington you come, because they're only 5 miles difference. So here we go. We've got a question here. Do you accommodate volunteers who are coming from a long way away?
Yes, we do. Come
on. There you go, Anne. Get over there. Go and visit Rhonda.
Anne. Yes. Can you swim?
Yeah, we want to go the invite. Well, take a canoe. You can canoe, a rowing boat, yes. Sailing boat. Canoe. You don't have to just swim. You can. Canoe's a good way to go.
Just wear a life preserver, and you'll be fine.
How much of the food for the rescue animals do you grow on your veganic farm versus import from other places? Well, there's a good question.
Mm-hmm. They eat hay. All of our rescues, with the exception of the canines and the birds, we bring in hay because we don't grow it. So we bring in grass hay. They do eat some of the grass that we have here, but because we're in the desert, there's no way that we could grow enough for all of the residents to eat. So as far as the additional food that they eat, as far as their vegetables, the roosters all get big salads, very large salads, and any of the carrots or greens or anything else, celery, anything else that we give to the residents does come from the garden. Any of the gardens when we have it available. The thing is, a lot of the residents are older because we take in older individuals, hospice individuals, and they are on specialized diets. A lot of them don't have teeth. So, they have MASH and that sort of thing. So it depends on what, each resident is what their diet is. But whenever we can provide them with food from our gardens, we will do so. It's very important that we do that.
Cool. So what proportion would you say was imported versus to grown on your place?
Oh, I would say, because most of the specialized veterinarian diets that are fortified because they're older or they have a type of an illness. There's that, and then there's the hay. So I would say probably we bring in probably 90%.
Okay, that's understandable. So what we got here, we've got low Ra. Wonder where low Ra is. Whole food, plant-based for the environment, and healthy vegan for the victims. Ask your city government to sign the plant-based treaty. Everybody sign the plant-based treaty.
Yes.
If you haven't
Yes.
already. Yep, indeed. As well as remember to get on the map at the same time, on the veganic map. So let's have a look. Anne is still smiling. That's good to know. And my eldest son wants to travel. He's vegan too. I'll suggest volunteering with you. Great. There you go. Look for Anne's smiley young son arrive, sending you an email. So you must, do you get a lot of benefactors? Do people donate to your farm?
We've had some, we have a lot of, I don't want to say a lot. We have several donors that give us small amounts, and they have been, recurring regularly, and it's wonderful that they just stick with us in any amount. We also have a couple of anonymous donors who've been donating for years, and it's so appreciated. But other than that, everything is paid out of our pockets. Both my husband and I have full-time jobs, and we use our personal finances to pay for the sanctuary. It costs about $120 a day to run the sanctuary, and it's mostly out of pocket. I want to say probably 70% out of pocket.
Okay, and anybody that wants to support your sanctuary and all the wonderful work you're doing, visit your website?
Yeah, my website has a link for donations, and you can just donate through PayPal as well. But the website does have different options and methods by which you can donate. Yes, and we appreciate every cent. So thank you.
Well, I think we definitely appreciate the work that you're doing. So that's wonderful. Okay, so Rhonda has spent a lot of time sending me in a lot of photographs because we had a few emails, and for some reason it didn't quite work out, and then realized that I didn't know. Anyhow, she sent some photographs in, so we don't want to go away without showing her beautiful photographs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the photographs up, and Rhonda can, I keep on pressing the wrong button, and Rhonda can tell us when to move on to the next one. I can tell you about the photograph. So here we go.
That's me and my husband Mitch and Jack the rooster.
Cool.
And that's me with little Oberon. He was a special little goat, an Oberhasli. That's Burley. And some of the other herd members eating. He stuck his head up because he probably thought I had something better than what he was eating, and he had to check. That's a collard. That's some collards, and my husband, and we just picked some collards, and it looked like he had a collard bouquet, and I thought it was an interesting photo. But that's my husband and some collards.
So remind me again, what's your husband's name?
His name is Mitch.
Mitch. All right, yeah, nice one, Mitch. Does Mitch work hard, or is he sitting there on his deck chair while you're doing all the work?
Oh no, he works very hard. He does the majority of the animal chores, and the things that keep the sanctuary physically together. He is sort of a jack of all trades, and he does a lion's share of the physical work. He does a lot of work. I do the the business end and the education piece, and as far as transports and that sort of thing. But he keeps the place running. He keeps everything together.
Do you have any machinery?
No, we work. Everything is done by hand. All of our garden spaces are all no dig, no till. Everything
No dig, no till.
Yep.
So do you have a car?
I do. I have a car.
You have a car. Oh, is it an electric car?
No, it's not an electric car. I don't have an electric car. I
What's
always,
that pedal-powered car? Is it like a Flintstone car?
that is what it is. It just big rocks, and that's what yeah, that's exactly how it works. Rocks. Or rocks for wheels.
Let's have a look. Let's see what other photographs we got. Who's this?
That's Jack again. Jack is older than dirt, and he's a grouchy old man, and we love him. He's probably, I don't know, 10 or 11, and he's still growing strong. But that's he's fierce, and that's why we love him. That's Jack.
So when you say he's fierce, what does he do?
Roosters are.
Does he attack you?
No, well, he threatens very well, and he's been known to sort of, smack you with his wings. Roosters are hardwired to defend, their hens or their environment. We don't have hens because there's more of a need for roosters where we are. So we have, primarily roosters as far as chickens are concerned, and they're all, they're so intelligent and they're so loving and snuggly, but they are hardwired to be protectors. And what Jack has to know that, he that you're safe, and so he'll put up a little bit of a fight, but once you have him on your lap and snuggle with him, he'll just fall right to sleep. So I would say his bark is worse than his bite, or his crow is worse than his bite, or his
peck,
smacking you with his wings.
Cool. So we've got another few questions have popped up here. Let's see what they are. Where are we? My eldest. Oh, here we go. Hi, I'm Wendy from the UK. How do the sanctuary animals and your plants cope with the very hot, dry weather? I'm from northwest UK, where it's often chilly and damp.
We have to make sure everybody is watered, both animals and plants. We are on a well, so we don't have all of the water that we could use at any time. We have to be very thoughtful with our water. We can go 4 or 6 months without seeing any rain at all. We have in the summertime for the residents, we have fans, and we have cooling misters. Of course, we get all of the individuals that can be, have their hair cut or their wool cut or trims done. But we keep everyone as cool as possible by keeping the fans on and the misting on. We have shade for everyone, housing for everyone. So in the summer, that's how everyone stays cool. As far as the winter's concerned, we have heaters for everyone. We heat their water tanks. We have heated mats and beds. So that is, how we regulate the temperature for the residents. As far as the plants are concerned, we try to keep them watered. Everything's mulched. We use shade cloth if necessary. It's a matter of strategic planting as well, making sure that your more tropical, sun-loving plants shade the lower plants, and really using what we know about shade and about the sun and how it rises and sets to, again, strategically plant everything in a way in which they won't burn.
Sounds like you got them living in luxury. So then we've got a what's this one here? Jack the Rooster is magnificent.
He's a good boy. Yeah.
I love. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, we got the wow, huge collard. I think that was a previous photograph. I have looked at the photographs in your map entry. There's an amazing picture of what looks like a giant cabbage. What is it?
Probably collards. The brassicas do really well. We typically plant collards and kale and guylan and different varieties of broccoli, and they all do very, very well, which sometimes is very surprising considering the heat and the amount of sun we get here. But we don't typically see sun scald on our brassicas, which again is very strange. But the large cabbage looking thing, that's collards, grow very that variety is I believe it's Champion. That is the variety.
Great. Okay. And here we've got a comment from Anne's Veganic Gardens. I love how you speak about being vegan and how patient you are with the place. We are with the vegan philosophy and lifestyle right now. Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Anne's Veganic Garden. Well, this show is the first of hopefully a very long series. We've got 1,000 people on the World Veganic Map now. It's only been going a short time. So maybe, Anne, if you'd like to feature your veganic garden on the next show, send us an email. And anybody else out there, this is what we're doing now. We're traveling around the world on our internet machine and featuring different projects and all the wonderful things that people are doing out there. So maybe we'll hear from you, Anne. Let's have a look and let's see what Anne. Jack the Rooster is, I think we had that one. Yeah, thank you. Nick, hi, Rhonda-T. What an amazing project, giving the many animals in need. How do you decide who to accept into the sanctuary? Good question.
Yeah. Hello, Neil. We will take in where there is the most need. So individuals who have been rejected because they can no longer provide whatever their owners had them for. So if they're for whatever reason, a lot of individuals are pushed out of their homes, sent to slaughter. People have animals in environments where they won't take them with them when they move. They'll just leave them in a situation where they're being, hunted by coyotes or what have you. They're not spayed or castrated, and they're just, breeding. And we take in individuals who are hurt, who have an illness, again, who are very old, and that's where the need is. And that's how we determine, it's very difficult because we can't take everyone in. And, especially with roosters, you have limited space. And with all of my sanctuary partners around the country, roosters tend to be the individuals that really need and are in need of support. Here, people get chicken eggs through mail order, or they raise chickens in their backyards, and without a lot of knowledge of what they're doing. And they, don't understand that 50% of the chickens that are hatched are male, are roosters. And you can't have roosters in the city So they're sort of left with a situation. It's like, oh, I have a rooster, he's crowing, and I've gotten reports sent, and my neighbors are upset, and the police are knocking at my door, and what do I do? And because of, I mean, I get a call or an email every day about a rooster, and what I've done is, in this case, is sort of create a contract that says, I will take your rooster, I will take all of your flock, and you will sign a contract that says you will never raise chickens again, and that way your rooster will be safe. I, to this date, have never had anyone take me up on that offer. So it's sort of, it's difficult to have to say no sometimes, but we need to really focus on the cases and the individuals that are in the most need.
So yeah, that's very sad that the individuals given the opportunity for their rooster to be rescued, they turn it down because they want to carry on selling eggs.
That's right.
Essentially.
That's right.
So basically,
That's
people have these backyard chickens where they're selling the eggs, and then you're saying some of the eggs get fertilized and then turn into baby chicks. So how many chicks would they get a year? These sort of backyard.
Well, it's always different, but the way typically a bird, a wild bird, an outside bird, birds will have 1 or 2 clutches of chicks a year, typically in the spring, sometimes in the spring and fall. They will have 1 clutch of chicks, and that's it. Chickens have been bred to give eggs every single day, which is absolutely not normal. So hens have a host of diseases, have ovarian cancers, and in their chicken egg factory environments, they are held in deplorable conditions. And then when they're in a chicken farm scenario, all of the boys that are hatched are slaughtered immediately when they are very, very young. And so in these backyard farm scenarios, what happens is the same thing. And there's a lot of emotional blackmail there, especially with roosters. I've been told, if you don't take my rooster, he's going to freezer camp. Or my children are in love with him, how can you not take him? He's a pet. These sort of things, and it's right. Well, if you don't take him, we'll have to eat him. Yeah, okay. It's so difficult to deal with this. But in a backyard farm environment, if the hens are laying eggs every single day and there is a rooster, there could be just the number of chicks hatched can just grow exponentially. There's no telling how many there could be, but 50% of them are male.
Right. Okay. So, right. Let's have a look. We had a few more questions. We got another one from our friend. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Zykumos. Hope that's right. Given that you're importing approximately 90% of the food, exceeding the capacity of the land, I'm curious how much space the rescue animals have to roam around relative to their natural habitats.
Mm-hmm. Well, on the one hand, these are domesticated animals, so their natural habitat would be, would be sort of meadowland or pasture land. We have, the sheep and the goats in areas that far exceed where they want to go. So I would say in the areas that we have our goats, they only use half of it. Goats are very social individuals, and they stay together as close as they can be to the humans. They have an entire slope where they can sort of graze in the spring where there is grass growing, and climb around, and they stay at the top. Our donkeys typically are their natural habitat is desert and scrubland for the most part, and so that is where they are. Our donkeys are closing into being 30 years old. So if we let them out of their environment, they get freaked out and they want back in. So I have to say that being domestic individuals, they are, they're determined to be by humans, and that's, well, by us anyway, because that's what they know, and that's how they feel safe. They have plenty of room to do what they want to do, to browse or graze or what have you, when there is forage available. We have taken the goats out on walkabouts, and they tend to nibble at what's growing. And right now there is arrowleaf balsam root, which is their favorite treat. So they enjoy that when it's growing. We do take the donkeys on walks as well. They're a little bit shy to do that, but they like to nibble on things that are growing. We have to kind of be careful of the protein levels in the fresh grasses, because we don't want them to become ill because of their diet constraints. But they all have plenty of room to roam.
Great. It sounds like you're doing a wonderful job. So what we got here, we got Let's think about that. Mine is a backyard garden. Backyard garden, great. It's a garden and it's veganic. We want to hear about it. About it. Every little bit counts. Everybody counts. Even if you're just a supporter, we want to hear from you. Veganic backyard gardens still count towards harm reduction and collective liberation. Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you, Saukal Moss. Let's get back onto these photographs. I think we got 20 and we only got through. I think we got up to number 6. So let's see if we can get through these photos. Here we go. Next one.
Those are a few of our Nubian herd. That is Siren and Burley and Casper and Clive and Alan.
Cool.
That's a hair sheep. That's Jasper, baby Jasper. He came to us. We definitely don't breed, of course, but one of our sheep that was abandoned was pregnant when we brought her in, and she gave birth to Jasper. And that is Lago and his mother Luna, and they are also hair sheep. That's Noche, Media Noche. She is a La Mancha goat.
Great name. Where'd you get the name from?
She's black. I just sort of get to know each resident and each animal, and their name just sort of comes to me. It just, that's who you are, and so that was her name.
Who's this?
That's Sunday. That is Sunday.
So Sunday's a parrot.
She is a parrot. Yes, she's a parrot. She's a Sun Gende Conure, and she's about 17 years old, and she's usually with me. She's talking to me right now. She's usually with me on my shoulder, but she's cranky because she's molting right now. So I thought that I would leave her on the other side of the room because she can be very, very loud.
So when you say she talks to you, says words?
Not words. I have actually learned her language, and she's very, very vocal, and I understand exactly what she wants and what she's saying. So as far it's not a human language; it is a parrot language. But we're not supposed to pick favorites when it comes to the individuals in the different species. But I have to say, birds are my favorite, and parrots are special to me. So I've had parrots in my life since I was very young, and I've kind of grown accustomed to their speech and their speech patterns, and I understand what they're saying for the most part, and they definitely let me know.
And so what can you say in parrot language? You say like, hi, it's a nice day, or what phrase could you say in parrot language? Can you say it in parrot language? Am I putting you on the spot here? Sorry.
In parrot language. Okay, so if a bird in general, so if a bird is alarming, birds of all species of birds will alarm, and that is if they see a threat, if they feel a threat, they will make an alarm sound so that all of the other birds know to be on the lookout for whatever the threat is. And it's always the same. I don't want to say it's always the same sound, but it's close. So a parrot alarm is similar to a rooster alarm, and it's kind of
so
like.
What I'm saying is, can you give us an example?
Sure.
What's it sound like?
It kind of sounds like this.
Brilliant. Dr. Dolittle.
Very obnoxious sound, but we know what it is.
It's great. And who's this?
The hair sheep, that is Ellie Mae in the front, and then Jasper and Lago in the back. Those are
characters?
Those are small donkeys. We have Archibald, and his mother, who has just passed. Her name was Mama.
And some nice veg here. Is this stuff you've grown?
Yeah. Some different types of peppers and chilies, and some Romano beans and tomatoes and brassicas. Yeah.
Looks scrumptious.
Those are oyster. I think those are Italian oyster mushrooms.
Cool.
In the back garden.
Nice.
That is a kabocha squash. It was I believe it was, I don't remember the variety, but Stefan from Learn Veganic suggested I grow them, and I did, and they're very, very large.
And are they tasty?
Oh, they're so good. They're so good, and they are sweet, and they are, and they're quite prolific, and they actually last a very long time. So that particular squash we just ate 2 weeks ago.
Right, nice.
And those are just a few of the onions. Those are Elsa Craig onions. Those actually went to a shop because they were very, very large. They're enormous, and so they're very good for onion rings.
Onion rings. What are onion rings? Like in crisps?
Yes,
In fries.
Yep, they are sliced into rings and then breaded and fried.
All right, nice.
And those are some of the pink oyster mushrooms I grow. Pink oyster mushrooms love the heat. They absolutely love hot weather. So if it's 90 degrees outside, contrary to what people believe about growing mushrooms, these particular oyster mushrooms are very, very, very happy in the heat, in the heat of summer. You just have to make sure they do get misted with water and they stay moist and in the shade. But they're very happy. So pink oyster mushrooms love the desert. That is a Dad's Sunset tomato. I really like this variety. I grow it every year, and it just provides very abundant harvests of very large and sweet orange tomatoes.
My tummy's rumbling.
That's the beginning of a hugelkultur garden. It's basically, just the start of a particular hugel that I made a few years back. I start on the cardboard and then add the log layer and the wood chip layer, and then what goes on the top is all of the material from the year's harvest. Then it's then leaf mold or compost goes on top of that, and it sits in the winter and it's ready to plant in the summer. And every year just sort of chop and drop the material that is grown to add to the fertility of the hugelkultur garden. And what's very nice about these hugels is they retain moisture. So you really don't need to water them a lot because the breakdown of the organic material underneath the top layers of soil or compost, that breakdown of material produces moisture. So there's not a great need to water as much, even out here where it's very, very hot and dry.
Great. Well, we've done all the photographs, all 20.
We did it.
We've had been a wonderful interview. Been the whole world of Rhonda-T has opened up to the world. So, are there any up and coming events that people can tune into that you might be involved in?
Well, up and coming in the near future, not so much, just because it's because we're it's gardening season and there's a lot going on right now. But I am preparing a presentation for November for the Veganic Summit, and I will be showing everyone how to create and plant in soil blocks. So it will be a soil blocking presentation, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with everyone in November.
Cool. Well, I am at the Manchester Vegan Fair tomorrow from 10:30 till 4:30. If anybody's in the area, anyone want to volunteer on our stand. Then we got the EcoFest, All Vegan Festival, happening in our local park, happening on the 24th of May. If you're in fancy coming over for that, getting your canoe, paddling over.
Yeah, I'll swim. Yeah.
You'll swim. You
I'll
must
swim.
be a good swimmer. Cool.
Well, yeah, it's so exciting to see that you have so many of these events that they're just all over the place, and I hope someday we can create that sort of an environment for vegans here as well. I'm quite jealous, I have to say.
Well, here in Manchester, where I am, if you look on the map, I'm not sure how many people. I think we've got at least 100 people within a sort of 5-mile radius that are on the map. And even our local garden centre is on the map. We've got a the Vegan Organic Network supported the Hume Garden Centre, which is in the latest copy of Growing Green International. If you haven't got it, get on to our website, and it's a great read with lots of great articles. So yeah, our local garden centre is Veganic, which is great. Being able to just go out and buy veganic plants and veganic compost and everything else.
Fantastic.
So it is happening, and we're making it happen. Rhonda-T and all the people watching and everybody out there. The revolution to save the planet is veganic, and
yes.
Yeah, let's keep on doing it, and get in touch. If you want to be on the show, we need you. We could be anywhere in the world where we're going next. There were some guys in India. There's a cool place in Iceland, actually. If you go on the map, there's a really cool veganic farm in Iceland. Some really cool guys. There's just so many. Just go on the map and have a little tour, because it is such a cool place to explore without leaving your front room.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing, and it changes. It changes. So what wasn't there last week is there now. So yeah, it's very, very cool. Thank you for doing that.
It won't be long until we've got 7 billion people on the map. So maybe this time next year, hey?
Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Rhonda-T. You've been wonderful to hear all your work and stories and life that you live in. Living the dream. So yeah, great. Thank you. And yeah, look forward to meeting you again, and good luck with all the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And we got a couple of, where we just go through these last comments before we check out. Thanks so much. Wonderful. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you from Sarah. Thanks for having Rhonda-T down and presenting for the new initiative. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and yeah, see you on the next show. All right, bye for now, Rhonda.
Okay, thank you.
Bye everybody. Have a nice weekend. Oh, it's Good Friday today, isn't it? So I don't know what's happening on Monday. Bye for now.